find the terminal point on the unit circle. So here's my unit circle. And I want to find 5 pi over 4 radians terminal point. Terminal points are these dots at the edges. So with the coordinate, I'm looking for the coordinate at 5 pi over 4. First thing I got to do is find 5 pi over 4. So, okay, 5 pi over 4. Let's look at that. All right, so I start here. 5 pi over 4, well, isn't that down here? So if I wrap around, it wouldn't look like that. 5 pi over 4. So if we're at the terminal point, aren't we looking for this right here? That's all we're looking for. So let's write that coordinate, and we're done. That would be negative square root 2 over 2, comma, negative square root 2 over 2. That is the terminal point right there. Done. I want to find the terminal point for 315 degrees. So let's do that. All right, we start here. 315 degrees means I'm going to go around to right there, 315. That right there, this right here is my terminal point. So there is my coordinate for 315 degrees. So if I write that as a coordinate, it is going to be square root 2 over 2, comma, negative square root 2 over 2. Done. So the terminal point of negative pi over 3. So that one takes a little bit of something to think about for a second, because we start here and went negative pi over 3. So negative pi over 3 means I'm going down a third of pi. So isn't it right there? So that is where we're looking for. So that right there is the coordinate we are going to draw, or write. So that is 1/2, comma, negative square root 3 over 2. Now, if you need to, could you convert this to a coterminal point between 0 and 2 pi? Meaning, I could also do this. If I took negative pi over 3, and if I added 6 pi over 3, do you understand? That would give you 5 pi over 3. Which, if you look at the unit circle, could you just go this way to 5 pi over 3? Which, you can go that direction if you don't like going the opposite by finding coterminal angles to start with. It's your call. I want the terminal point for negative 120 degrees. So first thing I'm going to do is go here. I'm going to go down 120. So 120 is past 90. I think it's right there. So there's my coordinate. And there is my coordinate as numbers. So that is going to be negative 1/2, comma, negative square root 3 over 2. Done. Now, if you want to, you could find the coterminal value for that. So I would take negative 120 plus 360, which if you do that, you get 240 degrees. And if you look at this, isn't that right there 240? Which means you could have also wrapped around that way instead, 240, if you wanted to, instead of going the negative direction. We want to find the terminal point for 3 pi. Now 3 pi, we have to kind of think about that. Okay, there's more than one revolution here going on. So if we think about that, 3 pi, we start here. We're going to go around once, because that's 2 pi, which means I want 1 more pi, so I go back to here. So that right there is my terminal point, and there's the coordinate. So it's negative 1, comma, 0. Now if you wanted to, you could have done 3 pi minus 2 pi, 1 revolution, and gotten pi, and then pi is the same spot. So if you want to make a coterminal angle between 0 and 2 pi, that could help. Up to you. Terminal point for 720. So we could start with, okay, 720. You start wrapping around, but like some of you are like, wait, how far is 720? Now 720 might be a little harder, so let's first convert 720, shrink it down some. So could we simply minus 360 from that to make a coterminal angle? And when we do, don't we get 360? Oh, this is easier than it looks. Isn't this really just saying spin around, and spin around again. Aren't we back to where we started? Because if we have 360, that means I went here, coterminal angle, but 720 just means I went once around and again, back to there, which means that's my coordinate. So my answer is, 1, 0. There's my coordinate, my terminal point. So terminal point for negative 5 pi over 2. There's different ways of looking at this. One way could be negative 5 pi over 2. Well, negative 5 over 2, or just 5 over 2. If you're good at fractions, you could kind of see that's 2.5. So if that makes sense to you, you could just say, oh, I start here, and I'm going to go 1 pi, 2 pi, and 1/2. Done. Remember, you went in the negative direction. So that is one way. Get your answer, which would be 0, -1. Now, if you're like, I don't like that way, well, could we find a coterminal for negative 5 pi over 2? Yeah. So let's do negative 5 pi over 2, and let's get some coterminal angles. So let's add, I need a 2 on the bottom, so if I add 2 pi, that would be 4 pi over 2. 4 pi over 2 equals 2 pi, so I'm going to add 2 pi to it. When I do that, I get negative pi over 2. Now for some of you, like, oh, okay, yeah, negative pi over 2, there it is. But some like, oh, I'm still not getting it. I'm still not seeing it. Okay, all right, don't fret. Let's add pi over 2 pi again. So let's add 4 pi over 2 again. If we do that, we now have 3 pi over 2, which that is the same as this. Okay, there we are. There's different ways to get there. It's your choice. Alrighty, I want to find the terminal point for negative 450. First thing I want to do is find a coterminal point for it. So I'm going to add 360. When I do that, I now have negative 90 degrees. So negative 90 degrees, that could be helpful for finding it. Or I could now add 360 again as well. And when I add 360 again, I get 270. So could I use this, this, or this? Do all three end at the same spot? Yes, they all three do. So let's just use this one. Boom, there it is. So that's my coordinate right there. Here it is. Answer. So my answer is 0, -1. But you could also wrap around, meaning I can wrap around and do 450, which is woo, and back. You know, you could have done -90, which is just this, or you could go all the way around and go 270. They're all the same spot, getting you this coordinate.